Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on Monday, May 11th, playing in with a little Elvis Costello. How about this? Is that another way to start a Monday? Time I feel is this inside. There's one thing I want to know. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, oh, peace, love, and understanding. And ladies and gentlemen, how about that little Elvis Costello? I think that was what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding. That might have been on Armed Forces. I don't really remember, but I do know it was written by the great Niccolo way back in his Brinsley Schwartz days, if you can believe that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and ships at sea, we are glad to welcome you to another episode of the Abbie Kaufman Show. And as you know, we have a little political humor we usually start with. And today I'm going to change it up a little bit because there's something that's so serious and yet so utterly ridiculous. I've got to dwell on this. So Trump sends the Iranians a peace proposal. It's one page drafted by his real estate buddies and his son-in-law. Okay. Iran's response is, you know, I don't think we're going to talk about that. I don't think we want to talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about the straits later. And oh, by the way, how about reparations for all the damage you caused? And then we'll talk. Okay. Which was a brilliant way to handle it from Iran, right? And here you have the limitations of someone who's so mentally deficient that they did not appreciate that there are long-term unforeseen consequences of decisions. And since they're your decisions, you got to deal with them. And you can see where Trump just doesn't know what to do. He has absolutely no idea what to do. He doesn't listen to anybody, and he fired all the people that knew. You know, and while it's easy to laugh at him, the truth of the matter is he's taking the country and 340 million people down with him. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all the ships at sea, please, I've been dying for at least one of you to call in and explain this to me. What I would really, and I ask this almost every day, please tell me, or please call in and tell me that why January 6th wasn't enough to automatically disqualify him in your mind from getting your vote. Was there something about that day that, that I don't know? Was it actually, I looked at the hearings, I looked at the evidence, and, the evidence supported the conclusion that Trump incited a riot to take over the Capitol. It's just there in black and white. Now, if people don't want to believe it, that's an entirely different question. But I'm going to tell you the bigger question is, what if people are incapable of believing? What if their mindset is so warped and so distorted that they see everything Trump does as a good thing, that Trump is never wrong, and so on and so forth? Now, I mean, we both know how ludicrous that kind of position is, to assume that you're the brightest, at all things. But then again, if you are the brightest at everything, then why are we in this mess? We're in this mess because you're just a dumbass who listens to other dumbasses. And not only that, but you're 79 years old going up against President Xi in China. I think you guys are going to talk about what? AI, the Middle East, and just kind of general trade. And I'm going to tell you, if anybody thinks Donald Trump can out-negotiate President Xi and China's negotiating team, you are sadly mistaken. What's happened is Trump played his heavy-handed cards right away, and the world said, F you. And now he doesn't know what to do. and it's really bad because he has somehow believes that every problem is a nail, and the suitable resolution to the nail problem is to beat it with a hammer. If that doesn't work, you beat it with a bigger hammer, and then you beat it with a bigger hammer. And we all know the problem never goes away. You can you can win every battle. You can technically win the war, but you'll never win the peace. And that's those concepts are just uh, alien to Trump. He has no idea what it's like to cooperate in the world. He's always been a my way, the highway guy, and he's always had enough money to be able to do that. Um, guys, I would love a MAGA person to explain it to me. I ran into somebody yesterday, and I again had to go into my delusional dumbass rant. What about January 6th? Well, and the guy starts hemming and hawing. Well, you don't need to hem and haw. Yeah, you want to look at it? I'll watch it with you. We'll make dinner. I'll meet you at Starbucks. And we'll watch the committee hearings and watch the evidence and pretend we're a jury. And what are juries charged with doing? They are charged with deciding who is believable and who isn't. Whose side of the story do they go with? And I will give you, again, my favorite example of a story like that. And I always call on my old pal, old buddy, old friend of mine, Stormy Daniels. And you know what? I think Stormy deserves a little applause, don't we? There you go, Storm. So anyway, do you remember when you were testifying in Trump's trial about having sex with you in the hotel room at the golf tournament in Tahoe? And she says, yes, I remember. And the prosecutor says something like, oh, and what color underwear was Mr. Trump wearing? I think she said red. Okay, red underwear, huh? Okay, well, let me ask you, when he pulled his penis out of the underwear, did it have any distinguishing marks or characteristics, or just look kind of funny? She goes, yeah, it was a pretty strange looking penis. Okay, so in his red underwear, he pulls out his misshapen penis. And then the prosecutor says, well, how would you describe Mr. Trump's performance in bed? She goes, nothing great, so on and so forth. Okay. So those are her three big points. He has red underwear, a funny shaped penis, and he was lousy in the sack. Okay, so Trump has to come up with an argument to counter those facts. He's got to say, geez, she must have been drunk with somebody else because I wore blue underwear. Or I don't know whose penis she's thinking about, but mine is perfectly normal. Or he could say, geez, we had sex for an hour straight. What do you mean my performance was lousy? Okay, he could have done any of those things, right? But instead, what does this genius say? I know, you won't believe this when I tell you. But this genius says, I never saw it before in my life. And I forgot this was a bench trial or a jury trial. I think it was a jury trial. And these people are like looking, and you're confronted with a stark choice of believability, of credibility. Who do you think is more likely telling the truth? You got, let's say, Stormy on one hand, and that orange-tinged subhuman being occupying the White House. And okay, so let's start out. Let's say you didn't know really these people, and let's say you treated them completely equally. Let's say, well, Trump could be right, Stormy could be right. We really don't know. And you go, okay, well, let's look at the. We know who's involved. There are two people involved here: Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump. And the question is, who is believable, or who is more believable, who has more credibility? And you say, geez, let's look at some past behavior to see if we can glean some idea what a future behavior would bring. So as we look back over Donald Trump's 34 count fraud indictment and conviction, and fraud is kind of like lying and stealing and all that, right? Excuse me. So anyway, you look back at these fraud convictions, and then you look back at other stuff, and you go, this guy hadn't told the truth very much in the past. I kind of doubt he's telling it now. And let's take a look at Stormy just to see how she shapes up. And we all know Stormy was an adult film actress, porn actress. She's a stripper, whatever it is. I would say don't judge someone in their profession unless they're like a hitman. But we've all got to try to put food on the table, and that's what worked for her. So, she's had kids, and it's just not easy. So that was her. So anyway, so you look at Stormy's past, and you say, well, she's got some kind of adult things about her, but she never seemed to lie. She always seemed to tell the truth. Okay, so now who do you believe? I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I gave you the fact that that things were equal between Trump and Stormy. Okay, all things were equal, 50-50. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. And then once you dig a little deeper into past behavior, you go, oh, isn't that interesting? He is acting in conformity with the behavior he's exhibiting now, or the behavior he's exhibiting now conforms to the lying aspects that we just covered. So with that in mind, you just can't believe Trump at all. I have no idea how anybody takes him seriously. But I guess they're getting lucky. They don't have to take him seriously when he's awake. When he's got his eyes closed, he can't do too much damage. But when his eyes are open, and those neurons are misfiring in that little dinosaur brain. And it's funny. You can almost see the dinosaur aspect. Dinosaurs had to, if they wanted to like swag their tail or something, swat their tail. It took a little while for the impulse to get from the brain to the tail. And it wasn't a particularly big brain. It was a small brain, a large animal. So things took a while. And you can kind of see what Trump may be kind of grasping at mental straws when he's awake. Because that boy does seem to nap a lot, doesn't he? Now, what do you think he would say if Uncle Joe Biden took a nap? He would be all over him. And it's just this double standard hypocrisy stuff that just blows Trump right up. He can't even pretend to be fair and honest because he's not. And he knows it. He knows that the most dangerous place in the United States, or at least in D.C., the most dangerous place in D.C. is between Donald Trump and a dollar. Or it might be Donald Trump and a camera, but I think it's Donald Trump and a dollar. I mean, heaven forbid that guy doesn't steal every last dollar. Whether it's a phony Iran war budget, or whether it's the ballroom. Please, God, sometimes I think if I hear the word ballroom one more time, but what I really think is that we need to find old Betsy Ross or some good old seamstress, and we need to make him like a size. I don't know how big men's pants go, but let's just say 60 inches, 60-inch waist, and let's give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe a 40-inch inseam. Anyway, what we need old Betsy to do is get some old cloth and sew this big pair of underwear and give it to him. And you know why? Because I don't solve the ballroom problem. He'd have more ballroom in those shorts than he ever thought about before. But you see, Trump, he's not that, he's just a hardened criminal. So what he does is he sets out, and he obviously plans this. But when it first came up with the ballroom, that everybody had been wanting for ages. I don't know why it wasn't built. I mean, every president for the last 150 years since Lincoln wanted it. Like, bite me, you're just lying. So anyway, back to the ballroom. So what does he do? How does he get to the ballroom? Well, first thing is just knocks the East Wing down at night. And I think we all know or have heard different attributes given to people who like do things in the middle of the night like that, or who perform criminal activities in the middle of the night like that. They ain't good guys. They're clearly not law abiding. Okay. So anyway, it starts out with, it's going to be privately funded. My buddies will kick in whatever I ask them to. A couple mil, 5, 10 mil, whatever it is. It shouldn't be more than $200 or $300 million. So would you believe that people actually line up to give Trump money? Okay. So you line up to give him these millions of dollars for his private ballroom. And keep in mind that we didn't hear anything about security and all that. He just wanted a ballroom for big state dinner so he could show off, right? But let's fast forward till, I don't know, maybe a week ago. And Trump makes this grand appearance saying that, maybe it was Lindsey Graham. After the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Lindsey Graham says something like, the taxpayers ought to pay for the ballroom because ballroom is going to have a security, like a bomb shelter or, safe room, whatever it is kind of thing. And that has to do with the safety and security of the president. And therefore it's proper subject for congressional budget. And okay, so then the conservative guys start pushing. Well, geez, maybe the government ought to pay for it, and maybe it is related to security because of the shelter, so on and so forth. And you're like, wait a minute, what if that's true? And if you guys are going to spend what started out at just $250, let's see, if you guys are going to spend $500 million, that means the price just kind of doubled, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So what happens to all the cash that his buddies took in? That his buddies sent him that he took in? Well, I am sure that is in his personal bank account, drawing interest from day one. The guy he proves his incompetency with what he does. Sometimes you wonder if he's trying to be this incompetent. And the fact of the matter is, I think he's too stupid to be this incompetent on his own. This is, like I said, this is a particularly bad time. And anyway, if you have anything going on, give us a call, 949-629-3820, and let us know what's going on with you. You got a dog? Anybody got a dog there? Dogs get a little more expensive to keep and feed and treat at the vet. How about a boat? What's the gas of the fuel dog? I won't even ask you private plane guys, even though it is Newport. What's that old gas doing? Getting happy about it? I keep seeing mine, my premium hitting right at $7 a gallon. And, we all will change at some point. It shocks me that people are able to continue paying these prices. Along the coast, it's always a little different. And of course, the further inland you get, the deeper the changes. Uh, but the fact remains that the coast is the higher end district where people traditionally have more wealth and would presumably have an easier time covering $7 gasoline than somebody that works 9 to 5 for minimum wage. And isn't that why we really need to do something about that? We really need to make sure minimum wage is. And I'm not saying you have to give everybody $50 an hour to live on, but I am saying that that we do need to re-examine this really closely, and maybe not through Trump, Doge, Republican eyes. That's just another reason to vote Democrat on the June 2nd primary and in the November election. Guys, this is, I keep telling you, it's all hands on deck, and it clearly is. And if you have a thought on the matter, give us a call at 949-629-3820. And, let me know what's going on with you. Is your $100 gas fill up now, what, 130, 140? I know mine is. How about dog? You been to the vet? Buy anything for your dog? Or how about your kids? God almighty. I mean, what if they need new stuff for summer? Sometimes, if you have enough money or budget, you can, I'll take a little bit away from here because I've got to spend a little more here. But these days and times, everybody was already stretched. And then the war happens. And, we, at this point, everybody knows. See, in Trump's mind, he clearly thinks he's making the world better for himself. And we can only hope that's not true. But you see, it's just because he takes that position, there's no real place to turn to. And those usually lead to all or nothing decisions, which is exactly where we are now. It's an all or nothing decision for the U.S. and for Iran. But Iran holds the cards. And does anybody remember when that day when Trump advanced threw Zelensky out of the White House? Well, anyway, Zelensky had brought to Trump that you will have these problems too with aggression, whether from Russia or China. You too will have these problems with aggression. And Zelensky goes on, so you have a nice big ocean, but there are people here and it can be crossed. You're going to have the same problem as we do. To which Trump advanced, threw him out, saying he didn't have any cards, and basically accused him of not knowing what he was talking about. And now Zelensky's offering drone help to us after we pooped in the guy's face on national TV from the White House. He's offering his help to us. Does that give you an idea how bad Donald Trump has messed up? And like I said, can you accept that? Will you believe it? And see, this goes into my dumbass part. If you believe January 6th was, like a what do they call it? A tea party, where you have like cookies and tea. If you believe that it was a tea party, then your basic perception is off, and there's no real point because you can't get to a common ground from there. And it's just it's just a shame some people can't admit when they're wrong or when the guy sucks. And the guy clearly sucks. I mean, he's been benefited from his presidency besides him and his mates. Yeah, I can't think of anybody really. The Democrats are much more into helping, and the Republicans are much more into destroying. And there was a fellow on the radio, Neil Savager at KFI, and Neil has this thing about good people create, bad people destroy. And I believe that to be true. And along those lines, good people create, bad people destroy. I want to play you a little minute and a half clip from Ada Briseno, who's running for state assembly from District 67. And the reason I want to play this for you is so you can appreciate the fact that good people create and bad people destroy. Here's a few words from Ada Briseno.
So I got this in my mailbox yesterday and I thought, that's interesting. I don't remember ever sitting on a gold couch wearing a shiny gold jacket. And then I realized that they photoshopped me. This picture, and honestly, it's very flattering that they would Photoshop me hanging out in such a cool, trendy place. And who are the masterminds who came up with this message? Well, I have an answer. According to the documents that came out yesterday, it's the pollsters for the NRA, the Republican National Committee, and Devin Nunes. And that is the best they can do. Unfortunately, you're going to be seeing much more of this. Donald Trump's closest allies, corporations that have given him more than $20 million, are part of a group that has already committed to spending $3 million to defeat me, because they're afraid of a union leader and a proud immigrant who will take them on and win. Many of these same corporations are attacking me, are profiting millions of dollars off of ICE contracts. So you're probably going to see me photoshopped into a whole lot of other things this election cycle. I hope they Photoshop me somewhere fun. But please remember, these are all lies, and they are funded by Donald Trump's allies.
All right, guys, there you heard it. Is there any denying that that these guys just play dirty? I mean, Trump spending $3 million to defeat Ada Briseno from the in a state assembly House race. It really is one of those things where the emperor has no clothes. But not only is the emperor too stupid to know he doesn't have any clothes, he can barely stay awake to know he doesn't have any clothes on either. So in the beginning, there was the awakeness. You have to be, or maybe he would be a better president if he slept and didn't touch anything. You know what we could do? We could get one of those. You know what? Instead of a private ballroom, I think we ought to just put a walk-up McDonald's on the White House. It'd be great. Let those tourists, get a little something to eat, and then Trump can send somebody out for a couple of dozen cheeseburgers or whatever he eats. How about that? Anybody? Is that idea go over? Or does that go over like the old, what was that thing? The Led Zeppelin? And you know how those Led Zeppelins are. They tend to, they don't float very well, those Led Zeppelins. But anyway, excuse me. I digress for a second. But I hope you guys are seeing the pattern here. Donald Trump uses the military the first few times. It works out well. So what's he do? Keeps using it, regardless of the propriety relative to the situation. He just, you can see what that drunkard's mentality is. Whatever it is, I can do it. Why can you do it? Because I'm drunk. That's why. Well, in that case, if you're drunk and can't do it, I pretty much doubt you can do it in real life. You can't let them keep condoning these roads on state capitol voting, registrar voters. It just looks bad. And why the Supreme Court will not enjoin him from doing that, to me, just goes to show that they are in the bag. And guys, I tried to hold out hope like you wouldn't believe that the Supreme Court was not corrupted. but I'm wrong. Most of the Trump decisions reflect that, and would not have been come out that in that same come out with that same decision had it been a Democratic president. You know, and they get their own people in there, and one of them lies, and the other one swears to it. Not unlike the old days when everybody had like 800 or 900 square foot houses with a front door and a back door, and a policeman would come up, and one of the policemen would go to the front door, and one of them would go to the back door, and the guy at the front door knocks really loudly, and the guy in the back yells, "Come on in!" See what I mean? It's fixed, it's rigged, which is why I'm going to propose Fox News change their name. Instead of Fox News, I think it'll be like Fixed News, because the fix is always in for those guys. Sometimes I look at their homepage, and I swear, and to compare it to Google, BBC, Reuters, whoever, New York Times, whoever it is, and the biggest scandal can be going on, and they don't mention it. And that means that when they don't mention it, guess what? Their listeners and viewers don't see it or hear it. So is that not a sweetheart deal for people that don't deserve sweetheart deals? I mean, how you can be nice to a child molester is a little beyond me. I mean, women are pretty at all ages, and we have this rule that says you can't have sex with women or girls under 18, because 18 is the age of majority, and we set that as the age of majority, and you have no rights, or effectively have no rights until they vest when you turn 18. So anyway, and when people prey on these girls, and I'm sure they prey on young boys too, it's clearly traumatic, and it could well affect these people for the rest of their lives. I mean, you and I just can't imagine what kind of coercion may go on to convince the young girls that they better keep being a hoe to the pimp, or else the pimp's going to beat the living daylights out of her, 8 times a day. You'll do this or I'll beat you. Think about that. You do this or I will beat you hard. Whether you live or not is an entirely different question. And so you need to so what society's done is trying to have penalties so stiff that no one will participate in that sort of activity anymore. And you saw how well that was with the Epstein files, which, by the way, still haven't been released. I mean, Donald, you're just a lying, worthless POS. There's just no other way to put it. And I would wager that somewhere in the back of Ghislaine Maxwell's mind, somewhere in there, she has or she knows where there's a picture, a compromising picture of Donald Trump. If anybody knows, she clearly does. And, I can see for the time being, she's happy being sprung from the maximum security prison to the minimum security prison and hanging out with, who's that woman from Theranos? Elizabeth Holmes. So yeah, she went from, having to wear a paper prison uniform to being able to dress in clothes and wash her hair and take showers and read and, all that stuff. All the stuff that traditionally goes with nonviolent crimes. But when you have an operation like Epstein had, I'm just starting to appreciate the gravity of this. But private jets around the world meeting talent agents or modeling agents with their uh, sometimes questionably aged clientele. I mean, on in Europe, in the States, in the Bahamas, wherever it was. Uh, these women were undoubtedly taken advantage of, and why? Why did Epstein take advantage of them? For two reasons: because he could, or actually three, because he could, because it would make him money, and because it would provide him some form of leverage if it was ever needed. And you would have to assume that when Jeffrey Epstein got arrested and got put in that jail in New York, whatever, you can rest assured he knows that by the time you get arrested and all that, the case against you has already been made. Okay. So he knew the gig was going to be up, and he knew it wasn't going to be pleasant. And that if any leniency came his way, there would be people looking at it like you would not believe. Uh, so Donald, get the files out completely. Just tell us, even though we wouldn't necessarily believe you. Um, your past is just your past really is a prologue. Your past dictated what the American people would get, not what they voted for, but what they would get. And clearly, that's been a huge distinction with you. Okay. Anyway, let's with that in mind, I want to do something a little different today. I usually try to compare or hit the highlights between the New York Times front page and the Financial Times front page, and sometimes I'll do the whole sections. Uh, but this morning, and I'm talking Monday morning, not the Sunday huge opinion sections. But today, there was a article on the front page, and I think there were only two articles on the Financial Times front page. Only two headlines on the front page. Okay, and if anybody is listening, kind of locally from, Newport, Corona del Mar, Laguna Beach, Costa Mesa, Irvine, if anybody is listening out there, you guys that know who PIMCO is, the bond guys, Bill Gross. You do remember Bill Gross, right? Anyway, Bill Gross. So Bill Gross started PIMCO. He's out now, but he was PIMCO, and then Mohammed El Arian was PIMCO. And these guys are major bond players. And here was the front page of the Financial Times, published in London, by the way. Okay, published in London. I'm going to say that again. Published in London. PIMCO warns worker trucker rate rises as U.S. workers sour on the economy. Well, I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't seem like much of a leap from where we are now. Yeah, if gasoline is $7 a gallon, then maybe money's too cheap. Maybe we just need more money. Maybe just print more. We know the fallacy of that, even though as a last resort, it would have worked to stave off the Great Recession. But yeah, I mean, PIMCO. And the only reason and you know why they're on the front page of the Financial Times, published in London? They're on the front page of the Financial Times, published in London, because they are believable, because they are credible, right? If there was, something from the Onion, you might not expect it there. But if you see a headline that says PIMCO says, you can rest assured somebody's reiterating that part, because they're trying to make the point that, guys, this is PIMCO. This is, like the local AM DJ with the gold and silver spot. This is PIMCO. So I would only ask you to to pay attention to these things because we all know what happens when we don't pay attention. And what happens is we get a strange pounding sensation in our behinds that comes from, Trump engaging in a little, uh, you know, but sex kind of thing. So, gosh, what a guy. So, anyway, how about you guys? Have you experienced much interest rate problem? Has your credit card rate gone up? Things been a little harder to afford. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I don't, I could probably pay up to $10 a gallon of gasoline for it to really hurt. But, for me, with my driving, to spend, like $600 a month on gas is just absurd. Um, but that's my problem. Hopefully, it'll become Trump's problem. Oh, and another thing, just out of curiosity, what when the Republicans go home and start working on their reelection campaign and all that, uh, doesn't this kind of suggest how much more effort you might need? You know, might be easier just like a little. Yeah, excuse me, with a little with a thin cane than a thick one. But anyway, you got interest rates. Yeah, and those are sure guys. Interest rates are all, or bonds are always the toughest thing to trade. You know, the spread is usually so small and the increments are so large that you can have some serious creatures around. But as of now, what I think is equally important as the interest rates are that Germany is trying to buy some Tomahawk missiles, and despite the president's assertion, we don't really sell those things. We might loan them out or something as as military strategic weapons. Oh, excuse me. Uh, but what happens is you get a modern industrialized country like Germany, have a large industrialized country like Germany, and to buy tomahawks. And we really don't want those things. A lot of those things out. That we don't want. We don't want to lose the tomahawk edge. We make and we sell them. If they want more, that means we're charging more. And again, all that does is eventually wear away the safety net. I don't know this to be true, but I saw an ad. I was on Instagram, a little post about it. It was like a small car camper trailer kind of thing, and it was like one room with the bed, bath, bed, shower, whatever else. And I'm thinking that is perfect for the homeless problem. You could have little developments of places like that. You can fit a lot of them into a small area, and everybody would have a little privacy. They'd at least be able to go to the bathroom on their, independently without, without making it a couple's affair. So, but for God's sake, try to keep the boys stuff in the boys stuff and the girls stuff in the girls. I just, I don't want to go out on a limb or anything. It just seems like, I mean, I can see if you got a male. I can see if you got a female. I can see if you got I don't know. But I would hope there ain't a whole lot of them. I don't know. So, okay, getting back to so Germany wants to buy tomahawks. that's good for the American economy until something happens with one of those nukes. And when somebody makes a statement or observation that it'll work until it quits working, well, what that means is you don't have a backup system. And wouldn't it be better to have like a backup system? Yeah, I think so too. So okay. Oh, how about this? A Qatari tanker was cleared to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and it went through. And what happens with the next ship? Well, if it's a U.S. flagged vessel, I think I've kind of got an idea. And keep in mind, before this, Iran could have closed the strait a gajillion times. They could have exercised jurisdiction and control. I mean, they could have done it legally, but instead they had to cheat. So let's do hope the cheaters get what's coming to them. Oh, how about this? I excuse me, guys. As we all know, states, cities, municipalities, countries are doing everything they can to increase tax revenue because it's decreasing, and they need more. So, so what Mamdani has proposed is a tax, one-time tax. I forget what it was, on all New York City apartments that were not primary use, or that had some other angle to it. And of course, those guys are lashing out at it. And if I was a billionaire, I would clearly be, pissed off about being singled out and all that. But guys, sometimes it's just not a perfect world. Sometimes, I mean, I don't. People claim Newsom has mismanaged the 11 daylights out of the economy, and I'm a little hard pressed to actually believe that. I think I think Newsom is too bright to not take advice, and I'm pretty convinced that this just might have been the soft launch of the campaign. Got to do a little Jesus interpretation while we're there. Okay, guys. Did I tell you it's Monday, May 11th? Did I ask you to call into 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on in your world? Because we want to know how much your last fill-up cost. How about the last time you cooked hamburger and fries for the kids? Could it have been cheaper to go to a restaurant? Do you need a second mortgage to eat at McDonald's? Give us a call, 949-629-3820, and let us know what's going on in your life. And on the off chance that things are going just really, really, really super great for you, I want you to go to that old democracyradionetwork.com webpage, and right near the top, you'll see this PayPal donate button. Well, I don't want you to smash it. I don't want you to smash anything. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, here's your cable. All right, go. Now, smear this. And a few whacks later, it's okay. So moving right along, there's an expression, a French expression, and it's called pied à terre. And the literal translation is a toe in the sand. And they usually refer to small places where somebody just wants to be eventually. They want to have just like a little toe hole, a little toe in the sand. Well, now you know it's official. Unfortunately, a lot of those things are linked to Alzheimer's, but it ain't a perfect world, pal. Oh, and this is a guaranteed peacemaker. Israel plans to speed up its slow annexation of the West Bank. Okay. And because the power is being transferred from a military unit to a civilian unit, uh, it'll be easier to control and easier to take over. And guys, I've got definite feelings on this Palestinian thing. And number one, I wish everybody treated each other humanely from day one, but they didn't. I wish everybody recognized the fact that Jews have the deed to the target from the Nile to the river, from the Tigris to the river, or from the river to the sea, whatever it is. Uh, when that kind of thing happens, any sort of even remote chance at having a peace is shot down. I mean, Trump signals everything's unacceptable. What did you expect, pal? If you'd had a decent negotiating team, you might have had some clue, but you intentionally send people that know nothing about the subject matter. And then you expect them to come out, and then you sell whatever they did as being the greatest and the best, and not nearly as good as the regular hot dogs. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? More often than not, what is that? Huh? I know we hear it a lot. Is it lying? Was it Don the Con lying again? Well, clearly it was. So anyway, there's just not much to be done beating that dead horse. But when Israel goes to annex the West Bank, of course that's the West Bank of the Jordan River, and these things always have unintended consequences, which is why Biden was like the height of restraint and not always jumping to get involved. As opposed to this idiot, and there's just sometimes this ain't a whole lot to do as lousy as that sounds. Oh, and how about this? China's export jumped 14% ahead of Trump visit. Now, that's a pretty healthy increase. So I would not be surprised if some of those guys got there a day before and kind of camped out in the old parking lot and had a beer for breakfast that way. If you want your kid to have a beer for breakfast and go surfing, you might as well not let them drive. Even though I know your child is significantly different. But let's see what else here. Oh, by the way, if Fatima, you know something else, let me stop right here. And I'll give a big shout out to some local politicians and local races we're really keen to see win. Ada Roseno in 67, Kelly Brown and Kara Stewart at their respective email addresses. And folks, we're lucky because we have things like crowdsourcing, which means we can ask for things in very low increments or very low dollar amounts, knowing that it'll just get up from there or go up from there. Sorry about that. So at least now that you kind of get that part. So yeah, China's exports went up 14%. Now, I just don't think that's going to make Trump particularly happy, but I don't think he's going to know its impact. I honestly just don't know. I said the only thing I know is that life without him is better than life with him, and I hope you guys will join me. Thanks. So let's see. Moving right along. Oh, how about this? European car makers have lost 8.6 billion euros trying to come up with a Trump plan. And we both know that, plans along coast highways generally suck because they're on coast highway. Bayshore's a really good one, and Beacon Bay and all that, but what do these guys really do? And truth of the matter is, I just don't know. I absolutely have no idea. But what I do know is that the sun is starting to come out here in our secret location on Newport Harbor, Newport Beach, California. And since the sun is coming out in our not so secret hidden location and semi 17 I don't know. Let's just kind of give that one a few seconds to percolate. And let's give us a call in the meantime, 949-629-3820, and share your thoughts and opinions. Let us know what's going on. I'm sure if you want to shout louder, we will listen. And we always expect you to shout louder or loudly, because silence is compliance. Silence is going along and getting along, period. A week, just leave it at that. I think that's good enough. Okay. So when you go to the homepage and when you see the PayPal donate button, I want you to kind of treat it like a milkshake. Okay? But when I do it myself and my stomach's upset, what I want is for you to smash the living daylights out of that PayPal button, and let's get me some new shoes, right? Okay. Moving right along yet again. China's exports up. Oh, how about the Panama Canal is going up because the prices and the revenue are going up because people don't want to go through the old Strait of Hormuz. Oh, and then this was particularly nauseating. Trump's son's war chest targets payday policy winners, which means if the administration is going for a drone policy, these guys can invest in drones. You can see where that would be a problem. So anyway, let's kind of call that news thing a day and see what else is going on. Hang on, let's take a quick gander here. Nothing up my sleeve, but let's just see here. Okay. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Guys, what I want you to do is I want you to give me a break for a few minutes. And let me be right back. Hold on. All right, guys, we're back at that little break there for a second. I'm gonna need to go wash my hands in a second, but I want to keep going on this for a little while longer because it's going to be summertime for too much longer, and it's going to be time for people to hit the road, summer road trip with the kids. If you're lucky, and even you might need to mortgage your house for this. But, you might want to take family to, I don't know, Disneyland and maybe, I don't know, let them eat something. You can probably count on, a couple $100 a day there for a child. So, like I said, at some point, there's just no more cash. It's not, well, we'll spend a little less here and spend a little more there. After a while, and I'll repeat that, there is just no more cash. And, I want to get this whole inequality thing for a minute. But we're big on equality in America, right? Equal justice under law by the Supreme Court. Equal protection is guaranteed in the 13th Amendment. Uh, However, as much as we try to do that, as much as we try to legislate diversity, equity, and inclusion out of our books, uh, the fact of the matter is that these things are popular and the people like them. So I'm not really sure exactly what the Republicans have to run on. Can they run on, oh, we took your constitutional rights away? I don't think we can do that. But there are some others that are definitely worth the yetzing around to see, and I'll probably play with those as time goes on. But guys, Monday, May 11th. Are you as happy about that as I am? Because I can't wait to get in that old steam bath and just let it rip with the old normally come back to feeling healthy and all that. And you know what else? How about, would you guys like a little song of some sort? Let's see what we can do here. How about if we played through a little, oh, what do you call it? How about a little incandescent? In quintessence. In quintessence. In quintessence. In quintessence. That's a young Jules Holland. Oh, play Glenn Tilbrook on guitar. In quintessence. In quintessence. In quintessence. Quintessence. In quintessence. In quintessence. In quintessence. Quintessence. In quintessence. And ladies and gentlemen, how about if we try a little Glenn Tilbrook? And how about From a Whisper? And if we're lucky, let's see if we can. Oh, we did. How about this? How about as a special treat for you guys on Monday, May 11th. How about a live version from a Whisper to a Scream solo with Glenn Tilbrook? Ladies and gentlemen, I am awfully proud to give you a little Glenn Tilbrook from a Whisper to a Scream. Jesus, to resist temptation, round like somebody else's imagination. Again, every word you say, just like an open invitation, but the power of persuasion is no match for anticipation. Like a finger running down a seam, from a whisper to a scream. But to a scream, don't get me wrong. Please don't leave me waiting too long, waiting too long, waiting too long, waiting too long. Oh. And if the customers like it, they might even pay. And if they keep on saying, then they'll end up saying, I heard someone say, where have we met before? The one over the 8 seems less like one and more like 4. From a whisper, come down the seam. From a whisper to a scream. From a whisper and a scream. Now don't get me wrong. Please don't leave me waiting too long, waiting too long, waiting too long, waiting too long, too long, waiting 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 too long. Oh. Oh. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the always impressive Glenn Tilbrook with or without Chris Difford. Those two guys were the guys behind Squeeze. And I thought we'd take a little musical interlude there and look before we get back into the news or the current events, I should say. This is just criminal. Trump sends war chest target policy winners. So, what does that mean? Well, they have this thing called American Ventures, and that they buy they buy stock and weapons manufacturers that they know are getting ready to place big orders. I mean, it's criminal, it's cheating, and it's un-American. But having said that, Ah, gotta keep that old caffeine coming somehow. Oh, bless me. Oh, and how about this? There's a German arms manufacturer who is branching out with a drone division. And guess what happens with the drone division? Would you believe the Trump sons invest in it? How could that be, right? How would somebody just so happen to know right before they're going to make a Defense Department announcement? Well, I think we all know. In vino veritas, in wine there's truth. Or my version is in enough wine there's truth, because uh, there's some brownness on the bagel, but not after my kind of bagel preferences. I hate those, like really light, airy bagels. I like a little more substantial, like you would get in a real deli. But apparently that's not going to take place for a little while. So let's check and see what's going on at 1:10 May 11th, Thursday. I'm sorry, Monday. And what's going on here is we need to teach these kids exactly how to sail and how to paddle. And the way it's done in the sailing school here is they'll get a bunch of kids in sailboats and an instructor in a powerboat, and the instructor tells them what to do, and they do it. But I'm going to tell you, I was in Charleston Harbor once, and the squall came up so quickly. It was just, you could see it. You knew where it was. You knew it was coming your way, and you're on a boat in the harbor. They had a whole lot of places you can run to. So I remember the breeze got really strong, and we took down the sails and tied them up as best we could. But then you're still left with, what do? We're in the harbor. If we were out in open ocean, we could, lock up the cabin and, just kind of ride it out. But we didn't have that option in the harbor. So my sailing buddy, Bill James, just, keeps it as, how can I put this? He kept us in a relatively safe part of the harbor, and it was blowing at 40, 50 knots. And Bill James is doing his best to keep this thing just, barely pointed into the wind. And I never forget, as the squall hit us, the rain is just unbelievable. And Bill looks like, what should we do? I'm like, I don't, whatever we do, let's not get near a dock. Let's not get near land. Let's, whatever we have to do. I know we can't have to. But my point is that emergencies are much more likely to be less devastating if it catches someone prepared. And that's just kind of the lousy thing that everybody knows about. And speaking of Trump, as he's just so inconsistent, you never know. And indeed, there's a lesson that psychiatrists and psychologists kind of keep around because it helps them. And what that is you try to measure somebody's psychological well-being. And the odds are, if somebody's on some sort of antidepressant, then, then maybe they're a little bummed. And maybe we could do a little something without resorting to medication. Sometimes the fastest, easiest way to relieve a problem isn't necessarily the best, fastest way to alleviate a problem. I personally like to see boats, go out, actually leave the harbor. I said we're broadcasting from our undisclosed secret location on Newport Harbor in Newport Beach, California. It's about 1:15. The sun's just coming out, and it should wind up being a really nice day. It's great, overcast all morning. And just out of curiosity, what's the weather been like where you guys are? How's your heating bill? I assume nobody's got into the air bill yet, but how you doing? are things affordable? Can you afford the basic necessities? And if you can't, please go to a shelter or a church or something. Just because Trump is not a generous person, to be kind, doesn't mean the rest of us aren't. Doesn't mean the rest of us are like that. Uh, America is full of people who want nothing more than an end to Trump and things to get back to where they were. Regrettably, it's going to take a war to get there, at least an act of Congress, maybe a war. Um, I do know that when people acquire power, they don't usually relish giving it out. But if Trump wants any kind of, I'm still not sure about what kind of legacy this guy has. To me, the legacy kind of stops after January 6th. I just don't, for the life of me, I don't get it. But that's just kind of my way of looking at things. Okay, Germans. Oh, $18 billion. How about that? Oh, and this is really charming. Trump's war, and this is in the opinion section. Trump's war gives China an economic opening. Why? Because if we can't or won't supply various countries, then maybe other countries will. If the United States walks away, they're not just left. There's a vacuum, and somebody usually shows up to try and fill it. So whenever you think there's a simplistic answer, I would ask you to think about it, through and through and through, because it may have more consequential tangents than you had ever realized. And if you can do something about those tangents up front, it makes you look so much smarter at the tail end. Like I say, I'm going to assume we can. I'm going to assume we can do this, or that you can do this. Now, I do want to tell you something kind of funny. At Walmart, they're open from 7 to whatever it is. But and the general rule for Walmart is you can return it within 30 days. I mean, everybody's familiar with that rule, right? 30 days. So I show up to get a refund for my track phone, and it wouldn't give me one. Couldn't find it. There's like a 2-week return policy on those things. Well, why not 30 days? I don't know. I can get my, people just shrug their shoulders at Walmart when we're asking them to see what else they could do for me. But and that's another instance of what my Bobby Howe would say. I got skadookus. So Bobby got nothing. He used to get bupkis, but Bobby didn't like bupkis, so we went to skadookus. And so there was no skadookus for boobus. And another thing, what about the guy in Denver that's walked across the runway, had an encounter with Spirit Airlines or Frontier, whatever it was, and gets sucked into the engine? Is that not? That to me just strikes me as someone being really delusional, because they didn't exactly appreciate the place they were, which is like on a runway. And it's funny, with the propeller, you could get like chopped to death, right? But when you got one of those big old boat things, you just get smushed. And that's why I'm going to ask you to give us a call at 949-629-3820 and tell us what's going on with you. You talk and we listen. I want you to go to that home page, and whenever you see that PayPal donate button, I don't want you to smash it. I don't want you to tap it. I don't want any of that stuff. What I want you to do when you see my name like that is I want you to chip in enough to leave Normie a good dinner. Okay. A good dinner will make all this very much worthwhile. Do I get it? God only knows. Let's see what else. And we hope all is going well in beautiful, beautiful South Carolina. You could go through the South and name the Republican senators and probably some of the congressmen. Uh, but what? And I know the position of the folks back home. If they don't rough you up, nobody will, right? Um, and we just got to do something about this. So let's see. We've got Trump, and what's going on? How about Australia with their anti-Semitic problems? And I used to think the internet was great because it unified people and all this, but I've gotten kind of skeptical lately. It almost seems that it causes as much harm as it solves. And and it is an emerging technology. We don't know what all. At least I don't know what to do with it yet. So as we approach this coming up to June 2nd primary, I really think this is like I think starting January 1st, or sorry, June 1st, June 2nd. I think that'll be when Democracy Radio Network starts hitting a low boil fairly quickly, and then just starts going, and then starts turning the temperature up and up from there. So guys, let's see what we can do about getting those cards and letters and interviewees lined out for the Democracy Radio Network.com. And like I say, if you're not doing well, give us a call. Let me know, 949-629-3820. And let us know what's going on in your life. What's really difficult for you to afford now, if you had to narrow it down, or is it just where everything is expensive? Everything, like a bottle of water, is expensive. And what people don't realize is that when water or something goes up from $1 to $1.50, $2, that's just huge in Africa. And don't get there's interest involved because God knows who may be having to floor plan the SUV. I have no idea why the old news is starting to trickle a little bit. But, and ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow I want to mention we are looking forward to chatting with Jason Byers. And Jason is running for Congress from District 47, I think it is. And I want you to look at it. And I tell you, there's somebody else I want you to look at. In District 68 is Jesse Lopez. And what I'm thinking is that, what I'm thinking is that she must be the candidate with like the good heart that would always help and not block anything. And kind of makes me wish that Zion was a little closer. I've been there a few times, but it's still a little far, and had to go to went to Joshua Tree not long ago to try to catch the new moon, but it was less than perfect. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't perfect. So, and you know what Mommy would say? Suck it up, Buttercup. Oh, what a warm, caring, sensitive human being she was. Suck it up, Buttercup. It's so bad that I do it now. I kill me. And did you know, have you seen the picture of the porn actress that is a spinning image of Sarah Palin? Yeah, I mean, I've always had a thing for women with glasses, but I didn't know it was such a widespread kind of kink thing. I probably should have expected it, but you know how those things go. And does anybody have what are you guys doing? Do you know what the successful broadcaster does after his successful show is on the air? Anybody have a clue? Well, if you said that after the famous radio host gets off the air, if he had to do something, I would bet it would be. Oops, that's not it. Uh, 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 Laundry. Yes, sir. So yeah, the successful broadcast host has to do his own laundry. If you can believe the injustice of it all. But I want to talk for just a second about Kelly Brown and Kara Stewart, city council candidates from districts 3 and 5 in Costa Mesa. Uh, Exceptionally talented, exceptionally capable candidates. Um, it's a good feeling to see youngsters on a library on Sunday with books and laptops, but you wonder about burnout and hope they can handle it. Uh, if there was something to be done, God knows I'd do it. I'm just not terribly sure how to. At the end of the day, you can only help those that want to be helped. You can only teach those who want to be taught, so on and so forth. So while I always try to look for a mentor in some way, there are other people that just hack it together and go. And I mean, if I can get away with hacking together and going, I will. But the reality is, day or night, and I want to drive my car, it's there. So anyway, what else is going on? As I yesterday in the old Axe, I did one of those jam tracks in A, and was able to do it like 15 and 20 minutes, just kind of keep repeating and yatzing around. So I'm clearly making some progress. I just kind of wish I had a little more regular time to dedicate. But much like the girl said when I asked if the tuna salad's better than the egg salad, I ain't know. Like, if you ain't know, I ain't want any. And that kind of helped me win another friend and influence another person, like Dale Carnegie would say. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the fog bank is rolling back in. God, we hate that on Monday. Oh, but I'm sure I mentioned 80% earlier in the program. And I want to mention Ada again uh, because I'm going to tell you, it absolutely hurts to watch that video and to know what the Trump forces are proposing to do to see her lose her candidacy or just, spend it in ways that it might not otherwise be spent. But guys, you're out in rural New Mexico, rural Colorado, and what do you expect? And I'll give you a little, for instance. I am curious, what is the population of Berthoud, Colorado? We'll do 22. Huh. As of mid-2025, the population of Berthoud, Colorado is estimated to be approximately 14,400. Huh. Well, that's not a whole shitload, is it? Well, it's only. Let's hope we can get you in and out okay. What else do we want to kind of vaguely cover here? European car makers suffer $8 billion euro hit from Trump's tariffs. 8 billion, and I think UK was like 3.6 out of that. Trump's policies are dangerous, and we were told they were dangerous, and people just said, "Huh? Oh well." He was able to get in and out of Venezuela, and he just thinks everything's a nail, or because the only tool he has is a hammer. And I know that's almost too stupid to be believed. And I hope you can work with your kids a little bit to get this idea across to, so they know that I'm not, like greedy, selfish, whatever it is. Uh, I just think it's important to actually, like pay people when they do something good. I know that's clearly a radical concept, but I am, if nothing else, a warm, caring, sensitive human being. Oh, and let's see. You know what? How about if we do how about if we do one more? Frank Can I don't know if we like that. How about uh, how about we try this? How about a little squeeze? From behind the chalet, the holiday's complete, and I feel like William Tell made Marion at my feet disappear. Pulling muscles from Michelle, pulling muscles from Michelle. Run, run, the harbor bar. Behind the chalet, my holiday's complete. And I feel like William Tell made Marion I know disappear. Pulling muscles from Michelle. Pulling muscles from Michelle. Oh, play Glenn. Glenn Tilbrook. From behind the chalet, my holiday's complete. And I feel like William Tell made Marion I know disappear. Pulling muscles from Michelle. Pulling muscles from Michelle. From behind the chalet, my holiday's complete. And I feel like William Tell made Marion I know disappear. Pulling Michelle. Fully muscles for Michelle. Holidays complete, and I feel like William Tell made Marion I know disappear. Fully muscles for Michelle. Fully muscles for Michelle. So, guys, that was actually a little Glenn Tilbrook with Daryl. What's his name from Hall and Oates? And that Daryl. Oh, Daryl Hall. I guess that would be. Yeah, he's we never liked him before, but anybody steps up for a squeeze song with Glenn Tilbrook, they automatically get a favorably good pass, and that's why, ladies and gentlemen, as we come down like 135, we want you to give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on in your world. You seeing many Democracy Radio Network stickers or anything? If you're not, that's because you're not looking in the right place. I just so happen to have some, and I am lucky to give them away. Away. There's some kind of melodic away. But I ain't know. So let's keep going. This all it's not exactly iced coffee. I guess it's like room temperature coffee. Ah. And you know why we're doing this, ladies and gentlemen? We are doing this to be awake for the next 25 minutes here on democracyradionetwork.com. I am your host, Abbie Kaufman, and I would like to invite everybody to kind of drop by, whether it's to see our kill boats, one designs, whatever you think. Come on down. We want to take you sailing. And if you meet anybody in there, excuse me, are a little gun shy about this. Trying to get them to see. If you can't get them to see your way, let me know and I'll lean on them, because there's no reason for anybody not to go sailing on Newport Harbor. I mean, it's sheltered sailing. I mean, it's just nice, guys. I mean, I'm sure somebody at this point know what being on a sailboat is like, whether it's a small one or a big one. You kind of get the idea. I mean, they all kind of work the same. I mean, we all know you can't sail directly into the wind, because if you are at 0 degrees on the compass, on the magnetic compass, not the true compass, you need the magnetic compass. Anyway, if you're at 0 degrees on the magnetic compass, that means on port tack you can't sail higher than like 45 degrees, and if you're on starboard, you can't sail any higher than 315, and that gives you 315 to 360, brings you up to 0 on that side, and then if you keep going, you'll wind up on the other tack. But in the meantime, you can, like I say, hold it steady right there at 0, and you have 45 degrees on either side that you cannot sail into. So out of the 360 degrees, we only have to really worry about 270. And, and out of that 270, you can see that if you're at the top part of that on those lines that intersect, you'll see that a boat on starboard tack just cannot sail any higher than 315. And likewise, if someone's on port tack, it'll show 45. And that's how you get to sail upwind. Okay, I mean, it's just that easy. It's incredibly time consuming, but you just have to sheet in, aim your boat high off the beach or dock. You don't want to get blown back, that's for sure. So anyway, there you have a little safety hint for sailing on Newport Harbor. And while I'm giving shout outs to people, I'd like to give a shout out to Tony, me old son at the Shamrock Little down the street. Tony's a good old Irishman who came to the States years ago and works at the Shamrock Bar in Newport Beach. And I've always, some of my good friends growing up were always Irish Catholics. And so I have a kind of a soft spot for the Irish. And Tony, who I still call me old son, uh, is always there for me. If it's a Modelo with a little orange slice in the bottom, whatever it is, I know Tony, me old son, will do it. So Tony, thanks again. It's nice to see you as always. And I apologize for not seeing you soon more often. I mean, who's to blame when I don't drink a lot? I guess it got to be me. I kind of thought I might get a little credit, but believe it or not, that's not exactly how it works. I couldn't be more shocked. And what else? Let's see here, guys. As we, oh, you know what? Would you, I don't really want to make this a music show, but I've got a post-nasal drip that's just wicked. And I haven't used that word in ages. It's kind of a New England kind of thing. Apparently, I've been thinking about my old schoolmates from Providence and hoping all is well there. But anyway, as I digress, what if you know what I know. I think that I have just come up with a song that is just really, really, really appropriate. And this particular one was written by Ray Charles. And let's see if I can. Let's see. I might take another second or two to get this to play through the frustrating, little ad things that YouTube kind of jams down your throat in order to watch whatever it is. And unless the truth matters, it's probably a good deal. And, they're probably doing no more than looking out for those whom they should look out for. Yeah, hit that road. Hit the road, Trump. No, don't you come back. No more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. More, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. No, no, Jack. No more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. No more. Hit the road, Jack. So, guys, don't you think that's kind of the where we are aiming for with Trump? Is don't we want him to hit the road, Jack? And don't you come back? No more, no more, no more, no more. Oh, happy day if that happens. Um, but in the meantime, we are faced with a dangerously delusional, dumbass president. And somebody mentioned the other day that it's always a bad scene when the stupidest guy in the world and the guy who holds the nuclear codes are the same person. But I pretty much think so. So, and let's bring this back to where we started. And the Iranians' first thing in negotiation was for reparations. Now you might kind of see how this is going nowhere fast. And you know something? That suits the Iranians perfectly. They can look like they're doing whatever, they just don't want to actually do it. Whether it's a an ice cream or a milkshake or whatever it is, uh, let's like I said, we know what he's made out of. So, and I'll try to work on that hit the road Jack because I can't think of a real way to sneak Trump's name into it. So, excuse me, so we might just have to rewrite it and see how it goes. So anyway, let's Abbie blow his nose here. And we are coming down to the last 15 minutes, or what I think will be the last 15 minutes of today's broadcast. We've been cutting these things short, or like for two reasons. My voice starts to go, and today I've just got a horrible post-nasal drip, and I want to do something about that before I like throw up on my laptop. But you were lucky enough to hear Ray Charles doing Hit the Road Jack. So I think we know that. And you know something? I think that just because it's Randy Newman and just because we are led by such an idiot, I think we need to get a little history lesson. And who better teach history than Randy Newman? And here he is. And all around, and my old friends put us down. Let's drop the big one and see what happens. Give them money, but are they grateful? They're spiteful and they're hateful. Yes. So let's surprise them. Let's drop the big one and pulverize them. Canada's too cold. Africa's too hot. It's too cold. South America stole our name. Let's drop the big one. There'll be no one to blame. We'll save Australia. Don't hurt no kangaroo. Build a culinary amusement park. They got surfing too. Rose London, Boom, Paris. More room for you and more room for me. And every round will just be another American town. Oh, so it can be body free. Japanese kimono, baby, Italian shoes for me. I just anyhow. So let's drop the big one now. Let's drop the big one now. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the ever eloquent Randy Newman singing a song called Political Science. And that's kind of a reason we go to Randy Newman, to one of those kind of philosophical kind of songs. And you know what? I shouldn't do this, but I think we're gonna sneak in. I think we're gonna try to sneak in a little, since we're doing squeeze, how if we do like one more squeeze song? I never thought it would happen with a girl from Clapham along the Wendy Common, but that I ain't forgotten. How she looked at the rations with some or other passions. I said, "You master lady." She said, maybe. I moved into a basement with thoughts about our engagement. I knew about the family. The room was smelly. We spent a night just kissing. We're way, way off from listening. I was got a choked up, and all the time it took. I got a job with Stanley. He said I'd come in handy. It started me on Monday. I had a month on Sunday. Worked 11 hours. It bought the girl some flowers. Then I talked her, and nothing else could stop her. I worked up through the winter. The weather brush and bitter. Away antenna, which we could make her better. Uh, I was happy. We had to sell the telly and by the fire with little chicks inside. 20 that 450. I took her on the street down to the incubator and 30 minutes later, he gave birth to a daughter within a year of a walker. That's just like a mother, doesn't be another. She says, the older mother's with the soldier. That's what I am thinking. Became her papa stinging. Saying, took me from Montague to Buckley on telly. The one I snuffy smelly. Here in the basement, there was something missing. The bank was sound forgiveness. Bank is not my business. It's your own ladder. Oh, I always ladder. My assumption. I'm really the junction. And ladies and gentlemen, how was that? A little bit of squeeze and up the junction. And I don't know if you noticed on that song, but the title "Up the Junction" is not mentioned until the very last words of the song. And Tilbrook had had heard a song Dylan had written that did the same thing, and of course he thought it was so cool he had to do it himself. So that's a little unknown history behind "Up the Junction." Uh, and like I said, it's about 155, and oh, and I want in closing, is that everybody's favorite words? In closing, and how about this as a quote? Trump's MAGA base may still believe Trump is playing smart four-dimensional chess, but in reality, his wars only strengthened China's position on the board. Do you believe that to be true? I do. And usually, when it comes out of the Financial Times, it's got a damn high probability of being true. And the last editorial was about how America's agricultural system is broken, and we kind of know that, but we also know who. It might have been injured before, but we know who ran into a brick wall this time. Trump has single-handedly surrendered markets that have Been really great export markets. Ask the soybean guys in Mississippi how good of a client China had been. They'll tell you it was all great until Trump. Um, whatever negative turn we had or we were making, Trump did nothing but accelerate it. He's, I hate to keep going back to ignorant and apathetic, but when you don't know and you don't care, I think those are just the times to use the words ignorant and apathetic. Uh, and if you don't know and don't care, right? So, what other excuse do you have in you for letting Trump bully you into running up 4 trillion? Did I say trillion? $4 trillion on the deficit, with a lot of it coming from the big beautiful bill, which, oh by the way, needs another 100 mil or so for those drone pilots. I mean, they're just absolutely insane. Now, of course, I wish it wasn't like that, but you know, in my position, there's just not a whole shitload to be done. I don't, and it's funny. I just got a thing from Guitar Center. Guitar. That's not. I just think that's absurd. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, just come to bite you. And let's take this away. Saturday out of the bun. Domino's 50. We do think that reminds us of the Michael Jackson sale at Walmart. Little boy's pants half off. Oh, you had to know that was coming, um, guys. But anyway, let's. Is there anything you'd like for me to play us out on? Huh? Let's see. Maybe we can find something to listen to. How about the Shins? They're from New Mexico. The Shins. And no room. Our Michaels didn't catch. She looked like Domino official. Then you understand. The sun shines on Lilo. Me with a shade. And then she is gone. She's gone. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Room on the second floor. Again, on the door. The sunrise on the Lido. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. And it don't bother me. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Shins, and I think they are from New Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. Doing the doing Squeeze's "Goodbye Girl," and you know what? Just because it's Squeeze, we got to do another nail in my heart. At the end of the bar, the piano man's found another nail in my heart. At the end of the bar, the piano man found another nail in my heart. And then bar, the piano man's found another nail in my heart. At the end of the bar, the piano man's found another nail in my heart. At the end of the bar, the piano man's found another nail in my heart. And the bar, the piano man's found another nail in my heart. The piano man's found another nail in my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Squeeze, another nail in my heart. And as I look at the old clock on the wall, it's showing just after 2 p.m. And I'm starting to get that like post nasal drip. My voice is starting to go. So we're going to kind of call it early. I will ask you to stay tuned tomorrow. We have Jason Byers, candidate from District 67, and he'll tell you why he's qualified. So tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, noon, same bat channel, democracyradionetwork.com, with the same bat time, same bat channel, and that kind of wraps it up for us. So, guys, thanks for everything. And you know what they say, Roger